want me to get started?
Prabhu, please start your way.
Are we broadcasting or should I wait? Or should I just get started? Okay, I'm going to get started. All right, so it looks like we all have like familiar faces today. It's a very intimate group. Just wanted to say thank you for tolerating me this week. And I'm not going to introduce myself since I think everybody here knows me. So welcome to another Friday night session of Vedic Vision Society. Tonight we have a very special topic that's very close to my heart. It's called The Secret Place of God. And we're going to explore tonight sort of the journey of how to get to the secret place. It's a very, very exciting place, and I know that most of us have probably been there at some point in our life, but we always want to find it and seek it, and it's such a special place that we want to come back, but sometimes we don't know how to. So we're going to explore that tonight. So I want to start by kind of recapping last week's session. So for those of you that were with us last Friday, Srila Prabhupada Swami talked about chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita. And he talked about how in this world, everything is ruled by three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And that pretty much our entire existence is kind of like ruled by, some facets of it. So even people that you think are good actually have, a mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So it rules our life, and it's the main drivers or the main forces why we keep coming back into this world, why there's, the cycle of birth and death. It's basically the cause of all misery and distress, and why we keep coming back and, enduring more suffering. So he talked about how the goal of life is to transcend these three modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the only way to do that is to revive an inherent or natural consciousness, which is really about connecting with higher reality or connecting with the Supreme. So with that goal in mind, we're going to continue this week on our journey. And that ties into how do we connect with the Supreme? So I love this picture because it really represents, how we want to connect. So the secret space is that special place in your heart where you can connect with the divine or Krishna. And it starts out as a physical space, and then it becomes a place of the heart. So how do we get from physical to the heart, and how do we even start with the physical? So we're going to answer a lot of these questions today, but I also want to mention that this secret space, this exciting place where we feel that we can be our true selves, is actually a space that's talked about throughout, the world, across religions. It's not something that's just, that Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita. It's talked about in the New Testament, and here I have a quote actually from the New Testament where, it says, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in Him I will trust." So that quote in itself encapsulates the secret space, right? Because it talks about how this is this place where you can connect directly with God and have this really, really intimate relationship with Him directly. And in Vedic philosophy, we like to call it the temple of your heart. So you think about, there's a physical temple, and then there's a temple in your heart. And so that's the beauty of, connection. Before we move on, I wanted to just kind of mention that one of the things that really struck me about, like, even Diwali, we just celebrated Diwali, is it's really the essence of that, celebration is about welcoming God into your heart. welcoming Lord Ram into your heart. And the only way you can do that is if your heart is a temple, if your heart is a sacred space. Otherwise, he doesn't want to come into your heart, right? So that's kind of the idea here, and obviously why I chose this picture. So in order to explore how we get to this temple of the heart, we have to start a spiritual journey. And I think this is a really important topic because even if we are on this journey, we always need some encouragement or refreshment or, let's just say ideas or tips. And so the whole idea is that it's a constant process. You have to cultivate faith. You have to have a purpose. You have to start with an end in mind, meaning that our end goal is to connect with the Supreme and to be able to achieve that in this lifetime. You have to have that secret place to come to. I'm just going to kind of, share, like a lot of you or maybe have, dreamt as children where you had a favorite place that you went back to when you were feeling scared or angry or, you wanted to get away, had a hideout. Everyone, every kid has that, right? Where you have that little hideout space that nobody knows about. Maybe it's just an intimate friend or your best friend that knows about it. So this is what we're talking about, is to have that purpose of developing that kind of space where you can have this naked, open relationship with God, who's also in your heart. Where you can start having that conversation. And the only way to do that is through, really understand the science of how to get there. So we're going to talk about the spiritual science behind that. And what are some tips? Like, you have to seek guidance to get there because it's really hard to find that space. I know I struggle with that every day. And obviously we want to have, pure blissful consciousness as we approach that space. So let's start with, the most practical, time-tested, tried and true, every, let's just say every ancient sage who's contributed to our Vedic literatures talks about the power of spiritual sound as a form of meditation. So I want to start by saying that because spiritual sound is the ultimate form of meditation. And the reason, there's so many reasons behind it, but the idea is that it basically it engages every part of your body in a specific purpose. So if you are chanting, what happens is you're engaging yourself physically because your mouth, your throat, your voice is acting. You're also listening, so your ears are engaged. Your sense of touch is engaged because usually sacred sound is, attached to like a mala. You see this even like the Christian rosary. It's the same concept, right? So I just want to talk about the scientific benefits of it, and obviously what mantra chanting means. Since we have such a small audience, maybe for the benefit of those online, I'll just say that the word mantra means 2 syllables. Man means mind, and tra means to deliver or to free. So the Hare Krishna mantra is meant to deliver the mind by purifying your consciousness. And it's not a regular sound. So like Om is not a regular sound. Krishna is not a regular sound because the whole idea, the whole premise is that if God is absolute and infinite, then anything connected with him is also infinite and absolute and is not of this world. Does that make sense? Okay, so the Hare Krishna mantra is made up of Krishna's names, and we'll break it down in a minute. But before we do that, I want to talk about how regular prayer is a way of inviting God into your heart and speaking to him sincerely. And so there's scientific benefits to that. So there's a few studies, I'm just quoting 2, but one was by Dr. David Bryan. He talked about, he did a study of 62 subjects, and So I guess it was like three groups. One group was chanting Hare Krishna over a period of time. Then another group had no mantra, and then one group had an alternate mantra. And so they measured all kinds of physical symptoms like stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth. And without a doubt, they found that the group that was chanting Hare Krishna had the least of all of them. So interesting, right? Um, then there's another study by Dr. Balaji Dikshitulu, and he did research on how mantra therapy can really, same thing, control stress, reduce anxiety, depression, promote mental health, wellness. We all know that, right? It's become such a fad today, mindfulness, meditation, and so forth. But 9 times out of 10, we're doing it with the wrong intention or we're doing it wrong. And so we're not really reaping benefits, right? So we want to do this intentionally and we want to actually reap benefits. So when we talk about benefits, we're talking about the benefit of the heart, the benefit of the mind. So it's more like that mind body, spirit or heart connection. So you can practice mantras and then you can get more of that mind connection or that mind benefit. But to get all three, you want to really connect with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which we'll talk about in a minute. And just to kind of revert back, Bhakti Vasudev Swami was here a couple weeks ago, and he talked about how you can really connect with so many mantras, because there's some beautiful mantras in our Vedic traditions, and even Christians and Muslims, they all have beautiful mantras that they recite as well. So why the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? So basically, the idea is that the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is actually meant for this age. It's actually promoted in the Vedic. That's what it's called, the Maha Mantra, which is the great mantra. It's promoted in the Vedic literature as, out of all the mantras out there, it's the only one that's actually going to give you pure love of God or pure connection with God in this lifetime in its absolute form. So that's why we're kind of lucky to actually be in contact with it. And so I just want to share some more about this. I'm going to play a video by Srila Prabhupada, who's our founder Acharya. He's like the ultimate, guide. And I'm just going to share really quickly
Explain how the
what he says.
and explain how the cover of the record album this transcendental vibration by chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual soul, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities, but due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. In this polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in our complexities. This illusion is called Maya, or hard struggle for existence, for winning over the stringent laws of material nature. This illusory struggle against the material nature can at once be stopped by revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and the process is recommended by authorities for this age. By practical experience also, we can perceive that by chanting this Maha Mantra or the great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual status. When one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of sense, mind, and intelligence, one is situated on transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, surpassing all lower status of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need of understanding the language of the mantra, nor there is any need of mental speculation, nor an intellectual adjustment for chanting this Mahamantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound vibration without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy.
So, oops. So basically, Srila Prabhupada is saying that this is the only mantra that you're going to, develop pure love for God, and where Krishna actually reveals himself to you. So it's almost like a two-way street. When you chant the mantra, you're connecting with God, and then He's reconnecting with you, which is a beautiful process. So how do we chant, and how do we get to that secret space in how we chant? So chanting is like the number one part of the journey. That's where it's basically that's where it starts, that's where it continues, and that's where it ends. So to get to that space in your mind, you have to practice continually. And so the beads here that we have, these malas, as we call them in Sanskrit, this is our spiritual technology. So what that does is, you can chant anytime, right? You can chant in your mind, you can chant, quietly, you can chant, whenever you feel inspired, when you feel grateful, as a prayer of thanks, throughout the day. Whenever, it strikes you to chant, or you remember the chant, you can do that. But why do we use beads, right? The beads are actually the method where you can actually reap the full benefits of chanting. So remember I talked about like engaging all your senses. That way you don't get distracted. So when you're just playing meditation, it's hard to focus for a longer period of time. But the more senses you engage in the meditation, the higher the likelihood that you won't get as distracted, or that you'll be able to enter deeper into the meditation. And so that's where the beads come in. So if you can chant with beads, then that's actually the best. And basically that will help you to steady your mind as much as possible. By the way, shameless plug, but we have free beads today, special promotion. You're all very lucky. You can pick up a free pair of beads here to take home with you and try this out for yourself. Okay. So the next piece I want to talk about is consistency. So actually, as part of the studies, they showed that if you're going to be able to derive any of these benefits of meditation that we talked about, the minimum time-wise that you have to dedicate to actually see some of the impact is at least 10 to 15 minutes a day. That's, the study results. So in our parlance, we would say that that's 2 malas a day. It takes about anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes per mala. So, you can either start with 1 or 2. But the idea is that, you want to do like a minimum so that you can reap the benefits. But really more important than that is consistency, meaning you should really commit to your practice. So, basically, committing means that you make space for it. So, all of us are very busy, and I know that you as students are especially busy, and especially right now this time of year with finals coming up and everything, you're thinking like, no, I have no time. I'm stressed out. I'm not in the right mental state. There's like objection after objection after objection in your mind. But, and I can tell you this from experience because I work 12-hour days, as my husband will attest to. and I have a very stressful job. And on top of that, I feel like I have no time because I have to cook, clean, connect with people, you name it. My task list is never ending. But at the end of the day, what we all do is we make time for important things in our life, right? So you make time for important people in your life. You make time for important relationships in your life. And you also make time for self-care, right? Meaning that you have to take a break for yourself, whether it's, I don't know, many people unplug by playing a video game or, going for a walk or going to the gym or, whatever it is. And I'm not saying any of that is bad. But what I'm saying is self-care means you should not just focus on your body and your mind, if you will, but also on your heart. And so building a self-care routine, which involves a spiritual self-care routine, is really, really important. So don't cut out the spiritual self-care in your routines. And as a student, I would say it's even more important because it's going to help you with the stress. It's going to help you cope, actually. So one of the challenges, and this is why most people have anxiety, is they feel that they can't cope with the stresses that are being imposed on them by outside factors, whether it's, school exams, professors, your friends, quarrels, who knows what, right? Sometimes you just can't deal with it, or you feel like, you just don't have what it takes to do it well. There's self-doubt. There's all kinds of things that are constantly entering your mind. And so the idea is that if you go to the secret space and you connect with Krishna or God in this very intimate way, you're going to find that strength. You're going to find that inner power, and you're going to find that confidence to attack whatever it is that you have to attack, because you're going to derive comfort from knowing that you are not the doer. All these things will be revealed to you. Literally, when you reach out to Krishna, he reaches back out to you. So like the idea is that if you connect with him, he's going to support you. He says in the Bhagavad Gita that, if you become his devotee, he will actually preserve, what you have and make up for what you lack. I mean, isn't that powerful, right? So that's what you want to do. And that's what commitment means, that you do, some minimum amount, whatever feels comfortable to you. There's no pressure. But whatever feels comfortable to you, you just take up as a practice. Like, this is not, it might start, as like a practice that you say to yourself, hey, this is for me. This is for my own, peace of mind. This is for my own sanity, or, this makes me feel good, so I want to do it. So it starts out that way. But you'll see as you keep going, actually Krishna takes over. And then it without even realizing it, it goes to a different level where you want to do it, because not only do you feel good, but you feel connected, you feel the inner strength, and you want to come back for more. So there are no hard and fast rules. Anyone can chant anywhere, anytime. You can go to that secret space anytime. It's, right here in your heart. And it should always feel natural. So if you're pushing yourself, if you're, let's just say you're having a rough day and you just can't concentrate, don't feel bad about it. If you feel like, I made a commitment, I'm going to do 1 mile a day, and then you skip a day because whatever happened, don't beat yourself up about it. At the end of the day, Krishna understands this is, loving connection, loving service to Krishna, to spend that time with him. So he's never going to make you feel guilty. In fact, he's the most loving and most encouraging. So always remember that. And so I like to say no guilt zone ever, right? And just so you know, once you make a commitment to the routine every day, this is just going to happen naturally. You're just going to want to do more over time. And initiated devotees are, people who've made a solid commitment, a lifetime commitment. They commit to 16 rounds a day, which takes about 2 hours. So the idea is, start small, just do something every day, and then see where it takes you. Because you'd be surprised. I work, full time. Mohit works full time. we raised a family, so we had kids, and Shama and Yashodananda are right in the middle of it right now. We do 16 rounds a day, 2 hours. And I tell you, it's what keeps me grounded. And I find the time, even though I don't have the time, I find the time. So I'm just encouraging everyone that it is possible, and you be surprised what boulders you can move when you feel like, Krishna is there and, it's coming from your heart. So in terms of the process of meditating and chanting, really you want to connect at 3 levels. We talked about it: mind, body, and soul. There's this beautiful acharya or teacher, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who talks about 3 amazing practices that really help us. And when you think about this visually before you chant, it really helps to put you in the spirit, which is that you offer your body, so you offer your voice, you offer your hearing. You think about it that way. Hey, you know what? Whatever I'm doing right now, I'm offering it to you. Krishna, please take it. Please accept me with all my flaws and imperfections. You know exactly what's in my heart. Start with this from this really, honest, naked place of truth, and approach them from that standpoint. It can be, there's so many beautiful prayers. Like right now is the month of Kartik, for some of you that may know. And so we offer this prayer every night when we light the diya. And one of the stanzas is talking about, oh Vishnu or Krishna, I am the most fallen, and I'm drowning in this pool of ignorance and sorrow. Please uplift me. Please, please have mercy on me. And that's the whole idea. Is it's a cry. It's like for mother to child, child to mother. So with your body, and then you meditate with your mind, right? You have that intention, and you want to focus your mind on the chanting. And that means focusing your mind on hearing and pronouncing. So when you do both, it really, really helps you to control your mind and meditate. And then chant with your soul. As you're listening to your voice, that's where your soul comes out. Also, when you sing, your soul comes out. So that's kind of the mystical experience that comes through. But really, you want to turn off your mind. You want to have pure intentions. And I just want to emphasize the last 2: be patient and remain steadfast. I have to be patient with myself every day. I fall short every day in my meditation practice and my chanting. I have problems being steadfast. So those 2 are really important. You have to start, again, like I mentioned, no guilt zone. You have to set the right framework. Like, I am not going to beat myself up ever. This is something that I'm offering, and I'm, wanting to do because I want to do it. I love it, and it's a good thing. So whenever any kind of bad feeling enters that equation, just be aware of it and try to push it away, because that's not what Krishna wants. All right, so why are we doing all of this? Why is it so hard to get to that sacred space? It's because of our minds. As we all know, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that for he who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind, that same exact mind, can be your worst enemy. So think about that, right? So we always think that we are the mind, or we think that, we can control the mind, or, we have power over our thoughts. Well, let's just put it this way. Rude awakening, not really. Unless you practice every day, no. We are constantly being pulled a million different ways by our bodies, by, different attractions, different desires, the modes of nature, as we talked about. And it's really, really hard, if not impossible, to resist any of that or to actually pull back from any of that unless you practice every day. So I just want to emphasize that's so important. That's why we do what we do. That's why there's a spiritual science. And I just want to also emphasize that the Bhagavad Gita is really sort of the starting point in terms of the philosophy of why we chant. But if you read through the Vedic scriptures, it's really amazing because here we are in 2024, thousands upon thousands of years of wisdom of sages who did all the hard work is put into these books for us, into this Vedic literature. Most of us don't realize how valuable it is, right? We might meet certain people that were like, oh my God, that person is so wise. I want to hear from them. Or you might have a professor, you're like, oh my God, this professor knows his subject. I really want to pay attention here because I'm going to learn so much. But we discount the fact that like the Bhagavad Gita and the Puranas and so forth, these are the same level of wisdom, if not at a higher level, at a soul level, over thousands of years compounded and distilled down for us. So really, we should be paying attention to it because it's the greatest gift that you and I and everybody in this room has ever received. And we can, come in contact with that. So the other shameless plug of the night is if you don't have a Gita on your bookshelf or in your dorm room, please let us know and we'll give you one. Finally, on training the mind, I'm going to play another short.
Our process it is also meditation, but as you understand by meditation, that concentrating the mind upon some super subject matter, the same thing is there. But we don't try to concentrate the mind artificially. But this chanting process that immediately attracts the mind. Our process is just like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We chant it in melodious song. So mind is attracted and we try to hear the sound. That means my mind and my ear is compact in that thought. Therefore, it is practical meditation.
So, gosh, I hate that it goes all the way back. I want to replay video. Sorry about that. So again, this is just emphasizing the fact that unless you train the mind, your mind can be your worst enemy. And I have to tell you that, especially as you get older in life, you guys are very young still. You have very sharp minds, but the older you get, the harder it is actually to keep a steady mind, to have, let's just say a clear mind. And you never know. I mean, we all, are in physical bodies. If we have an accident, God forbid something happens to us, we could lose our mind. So while you have a steady mind, while you have a clear mind, you should really work to try and make the best of it. Do I sound like an old lady giving you advice? All right. So finally, spiritual self-care 101, very important, right? Like I said, japa is where it starts. It's where, it's the substance of it and it's the end. So that's like number one, super, super important. What are some other spiritual practices that would really help you to, let's just say, get into that sphere so that you can have that secret space? Like I said, it starts out physically and then it becomes a secret space. So like I just mentioned, we have wisdom. Seek it, hear it, read it, express yourself. Japa is a way of expressing yourself, but also singing is a way of expressing yourself. We call it kirtan. So that's another form of meditation. It's just a group meditation, and more of that call and response. But again, it's part of that same scientific approach to training your mind, right? you're repeating, you're hearing, you're, especially when you're, I think also when you're in a group, you feel the energy more, and so you're more prone to get into the spirit of it. And sometimes even I feel like you're more prone to connect. Everybody's got a unique experience, but that's why it's also important to come together as a group. That's what you're doing tonight. That's coming together as a group to talk about this kind of subject. And, the point is that the more you can be around like-minded people that also have the same objective, the easier it's going to be to reach your objective, right? So it's like right now in school, you're around, some very motivated, talented, young technology, students that are achieving amazing things. So being around them motivates you to work harder, or to, there's that competitive spirit, but there's also sort of that, that energy, right? You can't mistake the fact that there's energy involved when you're in a group. So it's the same thing when you're doing your meditation. When you're in a group, the energy is there, and then, it's almost like the power of pooling together, intentions versus one intention. The idea is that God is going to hear, or more likely to, let's just say, you're more likely to gain his attention while in a group than if you're, sort of alone and your mind is wandering. So the other piece is you should have the right atmosphere. So let's talk about that separately. So we do want to start with a physical sacred space. And what do you think that looks like? What should it be? Any ideas? Is there a definition as to what a sacred space should be?
In what context?
As in, like, what does it look like? Does it have to have certain, elements, or can it be anywhere?
Anything that helps you like connect, to that environment, to that atmosphere. Because some things might work better for others.
Great points.
Being free from all the external influences to which we only connect through our sense organs. We have to realize that there's a switch after connecting to the stimulus from outside before responding.
Absolutely. So it was a trick question. There's no wrong answer. In fact, every single one of these scenarios that you see here is a right atmosphere. You can't have a wrong atmosphere when your mind is in the right place. But since we are starting out, it's really important to create that space where you can, where it's easier. Basically, we want to adjust our environment so that all factors line up to make it easiest on us to have a more concentrated, focused, intentional practice. But I will say this, I mean, even in meditation circles, like, in Zen Buddhism, meditation and so forth, they talk about how you can meditate anywhere. You can even be meditating while you're walking, or, you can be sitting. You don't have to be necessarily, sitting in a lotus position, how we see yogis meditating. You don't have to necessarily be, in a quiet place. You can be anywhere and still meditate very well. In fact, for me, everybody's different, right? For me, I like to go on walks in nature, and that's where I feel like my meditation is at its highest, because that's where I connect the most. But, like, my husband likes to be in his little room, and he likes to lock the door, and he likes to do certain things, and that's how he connects. And so I'm saying is that we can all create that space for us, and think about, reflect on this, and think about where you feel like you connect the best. But you can actually have a space that you create in your dorm room or anywhere. So, like, I travel quite a bit for work, and I don't, I go to hotels, I'm on an airplane, I'm, different places, and I have my little ways of connecting. So I, carry a little visual shrine with me where I can have some visual elements. And the reason why you want to have some visual elements, which is very helpful, is because it makes it feel like there's a person that you're connecting with, because we can talk about connecting with God as a spirit, but really at the end of the day, when you're trying to connect in this sacred space, you want to have a relationship. That's your purpose of being there. And to have a relationship, you need to assign, let's just say, a person to it, right? You can't have a relationship with void. You have to have a relationship with a person. So when you put together your shrine, and I have to say, like, I have many Christian friends as an example. They all have shrines. I mean, especially Catholic faith, they have like the Virgin Mary and so forth. And my mom actually, she grew up Catholic, and she told me that even before she, joined ISKCON, she would actually have this, little shrine to, the Lady Mary, and she would like pick flowers and put flowers on it. And it was kind of like, again, it's just expressing intention and love. And it's the same thing. When you have, a visual of the person that you're having a relationship with, you can offer things, you can set intentions, you can, talk to them, you can have a relationship. And that's what this is. When you have a sacred space like this, then you can meditate at a higher level. And I also want to kind of add another element is that's why, especially, in the, Vedic culture, we have so many traditions and rituals. So especially rituals, when they're doing the arti, when they're doing pujas, all these different, we would call paraphernalia, whether it's like the diya, whether it's the agarbatti, the incense, all of those have intentions. And it's part of creating this atmosphere of spirituality, creating this, intention of offering, of service. So everything has a meaning. And when you can incorporate some of these things into your practice, it will help you even more. And And so basically the idea is that we are very lucky today to have these practices, to have the Maha Mantra. This is just another quote that I love. It's from Srila Prabhupada again. And basically he's saying that there's really no downfall or no downside to starting this practice. It is basically it's 100% benefit and no loss. So it's the greatest deal that you've ever seen in your life. And so the idea is that it's really going to take you home, and he guarantees it. And I have to say that if you meet holy people and you kind of see where they're at mentally, emotionally, and so forth, you realize that it's possible for people to get to that level. And then you realize the next realization after that is it's possible for you to get to that level. So the idea is, what are they doing that got them there, and how can I, duplicate that and get there as well? And that's what Srila Prabhupada's saying in this quote here is he's saying that it's really actually simple, and just follow this and you'll get there, I guarantee it. So you have Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita saying the same thing, and then you have, our, Vedic teachers saying the same thing. I want to actually bring forth one Vedic teacher. His name is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, an 18th century Vaishnava poet. And basically what he said is the whole purpose in creating the sacred space and chanting and getting that, getting into that connection is really to surrender. And so as you're chanting, your level of surrender will start up here, and then it'll really go deeper, 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 deeper. You're going to uncover so many layers, and eventually you'll get to that complete self-surrender. And again, none of this is forced. It's not scary. It's actually a beautiful process, and it's very smooth and natural. It takes time. It can be like tomorrow, or it can take like 2 lifetimes, or like for me, I'm still working on it, I'm 48. But the idea is that it gets better and better and better. And it's really, it really works. Like you can look back if you're practicing, you can look back like 10 years, even 5 years, and you can say, oh my God, I cannot believe how much I've changed, or I like myself better, or, I really feel a difference in how I even deal with people now versus, 10 years ago, because I have much stronger, realizations. So when you surrender to Krishna is when you start getting all this, beauty coming back to you. This is when it starts, paying back. So basically, there's this beautiful song that he wrote where he said, you want to get into this mood of offering your mind, your body, your home, all your possessions. Krishna, you are my mom, you are my dad, you are my sister, you're my brother, you are my kids, you're my wife, you're my husband, you're my everything. Kindly give me protection. That's kind of the essence of the song. It's really beautiful. And that's where, that's where we want to be. That's the goal. So I'm just going to recap. Your spiritual journey starts today, starts tonight, starts right now. Even with finals coming up, actually, this is the best time to start. Start small, be consistent, stay inspired. There's so many ways you can stay inspired. I love to listen to YouTube or Spotify and, just kind of connect, with different things that inspire me. There's so many beautiful lectures you can hear, or, there's just beautiful kirtans, or you can actually listen to other people doing japa, so that, it supports you. Or, a lot of times in the temples, they will actually play, like Srila Prabhupada chanting, so that you can chant along with them, which is a really nice thing to do. It really, I think it helps get into the flow. And the whole point is, cultivate love. Just focus on cultivating love, because that's, where we all will be our happiest and most fulfilled. And quite frankly, that's when we'll be, we'll have that bubble that's going to protect us from everything that's going on outside. So I'm going to end with Kalyan Ho, which means, start a new dawn, start something new. We're ending Kartik, and so the idea is, there's, for me at least, I had a chance to kind of think through what I've been doing in my practice and what new things I want to do. So I wanted to pass this on. I heard this beautiful Kartik realization by Sachinandan Swami. It's right there. And he is wishing everybody at the end of this Kartik that as you start your practices, as you start your journeys, as you incorporate chanting into your life, that, may there be spiritual auspiciousness in your life, may you develop spiritual strength, and also may all the darkness that you encounter in your life be dispelled by the mercy of the Lord. And I want to end with a pause for prayer and a silent meditation. I was wondering if somebody could turn down the lights. Thank you very much. This will only take 1 quick minute. So we're going to kind of try to enter into the spirit of, what we just talked about. And so I want everybody to kind of sit up straight in your chair. Close your eyes. And take a very, very long, deep breath in. Hold it for 4 counts. Now exhale over 6 counts, a lot slower than when you breathe in. And as you're pushing all the air out, push out every single stress, anxiety of the day. Let it all go. Take another deep breath in. This time, chase away any thoughts of greed, envy, disillusion, unhappiness that you had this week. Let it all go. As you exhale, let it leave your body slowly, surely, as part of your breath. Go back to a natural state of breathing. slowly in and out. And bring your attention to the top of your forehead. From there, notice any tension that's still there in your brain, in your head, and just chase it away. Now slowly scan your way down, chasing away any kind of tension, any kind of pain. Just know that, pain is something that we choose to hold on to. So just let it all go, whether it's stress, tension, let it go. Especially notice it in your neck. Sometimes we don't realize how tense our necks can be. And get to your shoulders. This is where we hold all of our stress. So just adjust your shoulders as you breathe out. Wiggle them a little bit if you need to. Make sure your shoulders are aligned and loose. Now go down into your heart space, your heart chakra. And just realize how warm and beautiful this place is. Rediscover your heart. Now think about how in the last couple of months, even, you can remember a time when you really felt Krishna or God's presence in your life. Could have been a small thing, it could have been a large thing. But I know we all have those moments where we felt like, oh wow, this was not me. This was something greater than me. This was something that I could have never done on my own. This is something that I could have never predicted. This is something that, I had no idea was infecting me or going to hurt me. And my eyes were opened. And think about how Krishna was there with you the whole time, guiding you. Even if you didn't realize it at the time, think back and see how actually that was happening. And let it come to a place of gratitude. Wow, Krishna, I can't believe what you do for me. I'm ungrateful. I don't deserve it, but yet you're there for me. And I want to recognize that. I want to thank you for that. I want to turn to you today and say, I'm yours. Take me. And in the spirit, let's open our eyes and we're going to start our chanting meditation. Somebody play harmony along the way. Very straight. Is it good?
Fell asleep.
So we're going to move to our mantra meditation kirtan. So call and response. And I'm just waiting for our kirtan leaders, our kartals, symbols, harmonium. While we're doing that, we have these beads up here, so please don't be shy. Grab a pair or two for your friends, whatever you like to do, no pressure. Grab some beads, or we'll leave them here too. When you get your dinner, you can grab some too if you like. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Thank you. Tonight's part is the food. So we will start serving yours very soon. So please line up and grab your dinner and grab anything else you like on this table. Thank you very much.